Kellyanne Conway's voice cut through the studio like a blade. Sharp, shrill, impossible to ignore. Under the glare of the broadcast lights, her face tightened, eyes flashing as she leaned forward in her chair, her words spilling out faster and louder with every second. The other panelists froze, caught between disbelief and discomfort. One host blinked rapidly, forcing a polite smile, while another instinctively pulled back in his seat as though the heat of Conway's anger might burn through the table itself. For a moment, the set of the live broadcast didn't feel like a television studio. It felt like a courtroom, a battlefield, a storm that no one could escape. Conway's tirade grew louder, each sentence layered with venom, each jab landing not as argument, but as attack. The cameras captured every flicker of hostility, every raised tone, broadcasting it straight into living rooms across America. Viewers at home gripped their phones, their remotes, their jaws tightening as the seconds dragged on. What was supposed to be another roundtable discussion had turned into a spectacle of fury. Even the technicians behind the scenes exchanged glances, unsure if they should cut to commercial or let the fire rage on. The silence from the other side of the table was deafening. Jasmine Crockett sat still, her hands folded neatly, her posture straight, her face unreadable. She did not flinch. She did not interrupt. Her eyes stayed locked on Conway with the steadiness of someone who had weathered storms before. The contrast was impossible to miss. One woman unraveling before millions, the other holding a composure so steady it felt like armor. No one watching could believe what Conway had just said. The insults, the volume, the raw desperation behind every syllable, it was more than an outburst. It was a public unraveling. Social media lit up instantly, clips already being clipped, typed, and shared before Conway had even finished her sentence. Memes and hashtags were being born in real time, fueled by outrage, disbelief, and the question everyone was asking: how would Jasmine respond? The cameras lingered, the room heavy with anticipation. And then, in the middle of Conway's noise, Jasmine slowly leaned forward. The corners of her lips curled into the faintest hint of a smile. Her reply, calm and deliberate, was about to change everything. But Jasmine's response, delivered with icecold.com, would flip the script and go viral worldwide. The studio that night wasn't just another set for another political roundtable. It was a stage where two worlds collided, a collision that carried weight far beyond the studio walls. For years, Kellyanne Conway had been known as the unflinching architect of spin, a woman who could twist any headline, reshape any scandal, and bulldoze through interviews with sheer force of personality. Her signature weapon wasn't precision or clarity, was speed, volume, and relentless confidence. The louder she spoke, the more she dominated, drowning out voices that dared to challenge her. Audiences had seen it time and again. Conway sparring with veteran journalists, sparring with hosts, sparring even with allies when the pressure was on. To her admirers, she was sharp, unstoppable, a warrior who never backed down. To her critics, she was the embodiment of chaos, wielding alternative facts and empty fury as if they were legitimate tools of persuasion. That history shadowed her as she raised her voice on live television, her reputation preceding her. Like a storm cloud rolling in, on the opposite end of that table sat Jasmine Crockett, a rising figure in Congress whose reputation rested on an entirely different foundation. She was not known for shouting matches or wild theatrics. Her strength came from precision, from calm, from the ability to cut through noise with surgical clarity. As a civil rights attorney turned Congresswoman, Crockett had built her public image not on bluster but on backbone. In committee hearings, she was sharp, unrelenting, but never reckless. In interviews, she was articulate and poised, her tone a deliberate contrast to the circus-like theatrics that, too, often dominated political TV. That contrast was on full display in the studio. Conway's voice filled every corner of the space, rising higher, sharper, a storm of words that demanded attention. Crockett, silent, remained the eye of that storm, composed, steady. A reminder that calm can be more powerful than chaos. And that was why this moment mattered. This wasn't just Kellyanne Conway lashing out at another political opponent. This was spectacle versus substance. It was dignity versus chaos, truth versus spin. Millions of Americans, tired of the shouting, weary of the endless noise that passed for discourse, found themselves glued to the screen not just because of Conway's volume, but because of Crockett's silence. The silence was strategic. It was patience, restraint. The kind of restraint that makes viewers lean forward, in anticipation. Knowing something more powerful than shouting was about to arrive, the stakes reached beyond the immediate clash. For many watching, Jasmine Crockett represented something larger in America, where immigrant families, marginalized voices, and underrepresented communities could see themselves reflected in politics with dignity. In the face of Conway's fury, Crockett wasn't just holding her ground. She was embodying a different kind of leadership. One that didn't need to scream to be heard. One that carried the weight of justice and truth without raising the pitch of her voice. Social media users could sense it too. Clips of Conway's meltdown flooded feeds within minutes, but captions told a different story. Wait for Jasmine's response. Commenters urged friends not to scroll past, not to miss what was coming. The tension wasn't just about the noise already made, was about the silence before the storm. The pause before Crockett spoke, and when she finally did, that moment would not just puncture Conway's fury. It would light up every corner of social media, transforming a loud rant into a lesson in power, and proving once again that calm could crush chaos. Kellyanne Conway has always been more than just a political operative. She is a master of media, warfare, a strategist who knows how to weaponize words. For years, she cultivated an image of being quick on her feet, sharp with comebacks, and fearless in hostile arenas. Whether it was a morning show, a primetime interview, or a Sunday panel, Conway thrived in combat. She didn't flinch in the spotlight. She leaned into it, often turning tough questions into opportunities to project dominance. Her cadence was rapid fire, her confidence unshakable. And her willingness to spar with anyone, even the most seasoned journalists, made her a household name in American politics. To her supporters, she was unrelenting, the loyal soldier who never broke ranks. To her critics, she was the face of spin culture, the poster child of politics without shame. She could take a scandal and reframe it as strategy, take a blunder and call it brilliance. And when pressed for clarity, she famously dismissed facts themselves. Her phrase, alternative facts, didn't just become a meme. It became a symbol of everything her opponents despised about political discourse. For some, it was infuriating. For others, it was genius. Conway knew the power of language, and she wielded it not to explain, but to overwhelm. She excelled at creating noise. If an interview turned against her, she buried the host under a torrent of words until the question lost its sharpness.